Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Priyon Joni. So the SM7B is arguably the most popular microphone for podcasters, broadcasters, radio, and content creators. You see it everywhere, from Joe Rogan to online news to The Breakfast Club. It's everywhere. Its warm tone and rejections to plosives has made it the standard microphone for broadcast purposes. The SM7B is the latest version of the original SM7 that was released in 1973, which replaced the previous SM5. The distinct signature bassy radio voice smooth silky tone is often credited to the original SM7. And not only was the SM7 known for being a great broadcast microphone, it also made its way to recording studios as well. The entire Thriller album by Michael Jackson, the majority of the vocals was recorded using an SM7. However, at $400, a price that's been growing over time, the SM7B is not the most accessible or affordable microphone for the aspiring podcaster, content creator, or live streamer. And not to mention, the SM7B, because of its low gain output, it requires an additional device to boost the signal gain, like a cloud lifter, which could cost an additional $150. Recently, Shure released an answer to the demand for a more practical, podcaster-friendly microphone. They came out with the more affordable MV7. As Shure claims, and as you can see with the similarity in how it looks, the overall design of the MV7 was inspired from the SM7B. It also includes USB connectivity to a built-in interface, along with digital, tone, and dynamic controls, with the Shure Plus Motive app that you can use on your computer. Unlike the SM7B, users of the MV7 can plug their microphone directly to their computer with no additional hardware. Now, at a price tag of $250, the MV7 seems like a more attractive alternative to the SM7B. However, in every review and comparison to the SM7B, the MV7's tonal quality isn't quite the same. Because of its smaller body shape, the MV7 is more sensitive to plosives, and it doesn't retain that same warm, bassy tone that the SM7B is known for. So is it at all possible to have a microphone that retains a similar tone to the SM7B, but with the digital versatility and connectivity of the MV7? And is it possible for that microphone not only to cost less than the SM7B, but also the MV7? This is a Samson Q9U, and it's now my favorite microphone. But before we talk about the Q9U, this video is made possible by Direct Music Service. DMS is an online database for working DJs and mix artists. It's the one-stop shop where you can get your music from for your gigs. It's a searchable, organized database with thousands of edits, remixes, and different versions of your favorite tracks from many different genres. You can now save some money and get a discount using one of these two coupon codes. Use the code PJMonthly and get 30% off your first month off any monthly subscription. Use the coupon code PJYearly and get 10% off your entire first year of any yearly subscription. Go to directmusicservice.com today to sign up. Oh, and by the way, this video is not sponsored by Samson. Now, let me tell you first why I chose to get this microphone. While I love the sound quality and clarity of a condenser microphone, I wanted a good dynamic microphone that I could use while I'm live streaming, specifically when I'm mixing live here in the studio with speakers actually playing into the room. I can't use a condenser microphone where there's actual playback from the speakers inside the same room as the microphone. Condensers are very sensitive and they're very prone to feedback. Now, usually the solution is to use a handheld dynamic microphone, something like a Shure SM58 or something like my Mackie EM89D. But the thing that annoys me the most about handheld microphones is how easily it can clip when you start raising the volume of your voice. Recently, I used the Q9U in A State of Cornfields 8, an episode of one of my live mix shows, and I was blown away. We're gonna keep this party going until my landlord tells me it's time to go. My landlord, aka my puppy mama.
So Next question we got from Rum Runner with a 3. Are all 80J LED fixtures engineered to reduce flickering in video? And I think we're talking about shutter speed and frame rate of videos.
Not only does it retain a nice warm tone, it doesn't pick up too much of the music feedback that could create sort of a low rumble hum. And I was able to raise my voice whenever I'm talking over the music without my voice fuzzing out or clipping. The release of this microphone was actually delayed for a year, and it finally just came out about a month before this video. And when I saw reviewers comparing it to the SM7B and doing A and B comparisons where I can listen, I knew I had to get one. So right now there is no processing on the microphone, so you're hearing it as it is through the XLR output. But I am using a cloud lifter to boost the signal. The reason why I'm using the cloud lifter is because my lapel mic, which is a condenser, requires phantom power, and since the cloud lifter requires phantom power, I would be using both inputs in phantom power. But now let's remove the cloud lifter and listen to the microphone without it. So now I have the cloud lifter here, and what you're hearing is the microphone directly going to the preamp. My original gain setting was at Unity, and in order to use it without the cloud lifter, I had to bring it all the way to about 330. 4 o'clock is 40 decibel boost. I don't know what 330 is on my Mackie, but it's a big gain difference from where it was with the cloud lifter. Now, by removing the cloud lifter from the signal path and boosting the gain, you would also be lifting up the noise caused by the preamps, the little hiss. However, the Q9U is actually a high gain microphone. So as far as needing a cloud lifter, it would be optional. Now, it also depends how good your microphone preamps that you're plugging into are. But for the most part, the only reason why you would need a cloud lifter is just to have a little bit of headroom for your gain. Now, keep in mind, to use an SM7B, it's almost a necessity unless you have a super strong microphone preamp. Now, like I said, the Samson Q9U has a built-in interface which you can connect it via USB Type-C. Despite being a design that was released recently, the Shure MV7 actually uses micro USB rather than USB Type-C. This microphone comes with 2 cables. It comes with a USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable and a USB Type-C to USB-A cable, so it's ready for either legacy computers or modern computers. I also noticed both cables come with a removable ferrite choke, which is pretty cool because it helps reject electromagnetic interference. The built-in interface can do a sample rate of 96 kilohertz at 24-bit. Similar to the SM7B, it has onboard EQ controls like mid boost, which you can switch on for a lift of the mids, as well as a high-pass filter, also known as a low cut. It also has a headphone output for direct real-time monitoring. However, if you chose to monitor from the computer instead of direct, you can't actually shut off the direct or mix the two together. And it's always on, and I found it relatively quiet. I wish it was a little louder because if I'm in, say, a live stream or a conference where I'm talking to multiple people with processed microphones, their microphones actually sound louder than the direct monitoring coming out of the Q9U. Now, on the top of the unit, there is a mute button. So let's try this out. And what's cool about the XLR output and the USB output is they can work simultaneously. So I connected the USB cable to the microphone and to the computer, and we're going to do a test of what it sounds like between the XLR output versus the USB output. So I connected the USB cable to the microphone and to the computer, and we're going to do a test of what it sounds like between the XLR output versus the USB output. The build quality on this is amazing. It's an all metal body with a metal mounting bracket and as well as a metal grill. Some of the reviewers said that the metal grill, the mesh grill, is kind of soft, but it seems pretty solid to me. This is not really the type of microphone I'm going to be taking to a gig, but I'm still pretty happy that it looks like it's built like a tank. And right now, this is the heaviest microphone I own. Now, the stand I'm using actually came with my Mackie EM USB, and there is no stand that comes with the Q9U. And the other awesome thing about its construction is the fact that it has what's called a knurl knob, and it's very similar to the SM7B. So you can basically mount it in place on whatever stand or boom arm you're using, hold it in place, and then you twist it to lock. The MV7, you have to actually rotate the entire microphone in order to get it to lock on the microphone stand. Now, one of the things I worry about, and a lot of reviewers pointed out, was there is no tension control on the sides of the mount. If you do remove these covers, there are screws there, and it's pretty solid. There's enough tension there to keep it in place. However, I do worry that over time, it's going to lose its tension and you need to tighten it somehow. Now, as far as the digital features that were on the MV7 versus the Q9U, it doesn't have quite as many features as the MV7. Unlike the MV7, this microphone doesn't have a fancy touch strip, which you can control the volume on, or any LED indicators. And it doesn't have what the Shure MV7 has as far as a control app, the Shure Plus Motive, so that you can shape the tone in the computer. And it's my guess that the MV7 has that so that you can shape the tone so that the MV7 can sound closer to the SM7B. But honestly, this is my opinion, this microphone doesn't really need it. This microphone sounds great out of the box. It's almost like the MV7 requires that application to tone shape it because Shure knows that it doesn't sound like the microphone that people are hoping it sounds like. And all those tone shaping features only work if you're using the MV7 through the USB port. The Q9U just sounds good when you plug it in. Now, this microphone comes with a windscreen. But from what I've already tested this microphone with, it already sounds decent as far as rejecting plosives. But let's try both ways out. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. I haven't opened this up, but my guess is that the capsule is actually recessed back, just like the SM7B, away from the top of the grill mesh. That's also one of the reasons why the MV7 is more sensitive to plosives, because the construction is so small that the top of the windscreen is really close to where the capsule is. Now, this is a cardioid microphone, so it should be rejecting any sound from around it except for its front, where it should be the most sensitive, and in the rear. So check 1, 2. This is the front of the microphone of the Q9U. This is to the right of the microphone of the Q9U. This is to the left of the microphone of the Q9U. This is what it sounds like behind the microphone of the Q9U. And this is what it sounds like when I'm right in front of the microphone and when I'm about 3 feet away from the microphone. So let's check out what it sounds like to use some of the EQ features here, like the mid boost. This is what it sounds like with the microphone with the mid boost on. This is what it sounds like with the microphone with the mid boost off. This is what it sounds like with the microphone with the low cut on. This is what the Q9U sounds like with the low cut off. And this is what it sounds like with the Q9U with the mid boost and the low cut on. And this is what it sounds like with the Q9U with mid boost and low cut off. So now we're going to do a quick test of the USB output versus the XLR output without a cloud lifter. Now this is a comparison of the USB output versus the XLR output with a cloud lifter. So now that I have the cloud lifter connected, I'm going to also turn on the post-processing on the microphone. What I'm adding here is noise gate, EQ with a roll-off below 80 Hertz, compressor, and a limiter. This is what it sounds like with the signal just kissing the peak of the limiter. And this is what it sounds like with the processing a lot heavier. So unfortunately, I don't have the SM7B or an MV7 over here to do a direct comparison. However, there are a ton of reviewers who already did that comparison that you can find on YouTube. check out the ones from Tom Buck and Podcast Stage. They do really comprehensive reviews of different kinds of microphones, and the ones they did of the Q9U are actually the ones that made me decide to get one. Now, I do have another microphone here that I own that I would like to compare it to the Q9U. And I'm including this in the video because I want to actually hear the difference so that I know when to use my Q9U versus my other microphone. And that other microphone is my Mackie EM USB. With the cloud lifter on the Q9U, we're going to do a test with the windscreens off, and we're going to do a test with the windscreens on. And then I'm going to remove the cloud lifter, and we're going to do another test, one's without the windscreen and another one with the windscreen. This is a test of the EM USB versus the Q9U with the cloud lifter without the windscreens. This is a test of the EM USB versus the Q9U with the cloud lifter without the windscreens. This is a test of the EM USB versus the Q9U with the cloud lifter on with the windscreens on. This is a test of the EM USB versus the Q9U with the cloud lifter on with the windscreens on. Now, this is a test of the EM USB versus the Q9U without the cloud lifter connected and without the windscreens on. Now, this is a test of the EM USB versus the Q9U without the cloud lifter connected and without the windscreens on. Now, this is a test of the EM USB versus the Q9U without the cloud lifter with the windscreens on. Now, this is a test of the EM USB versus the Q9U without the cloud lifter with the windscreens on. So the only concern that I really have with this microphone is basically the lack of tightening knobs on the sides, because over time I have a fear that the tension will eventually diminish and it might start wobbling when I'm using the Q9U. But aside from that, this has become my favorite microphone, specifically for when I'm live streaming or conferencing. Now, I'm not saying it sounds exactly like an SM7B. In fact, we didn't do an onboard comparison. But from what I've seen with reviews and what I've actually experienced, because I've used an SM7B several times before, this microphone sounds really, really good for its price. And when I say for its price, that's not to say, well, it's good for $200, but would it be good for $400? I think this microphone does deserve that title that some people have said, which is SM7B killer. But I think it's an SM7B killer specifically for use with dialogue. When we're talking about singing or recorded instruments, I can't really speak on that because I never tested this microphone in those applications. But for a dynamic microphone that I can use in my studio while I'm mixing live, this thing kills it. It has that really nice, smooth, warm, broadcast quality tone. And when you step back, you can make it sound a little bit more natural. The dynamic range is really good, so I can raise my voice and it doesn't clip. It's super versatile for both analog and digital applications. I can quickly switch between using it in a live stream during a mix show, plugged into the devices via analog XLR, and switch over to online conferencing or dialogue without the use of additional equipment. It can just plug via USB directly to the computer. And it's USB Type-C, so it's future-proof, and it's high resolution because it has a sample rate of 96 kilohertz at 24-bit. And it's half the price of the SM7B, and it's even cheaper than the MV7. It's only $200. So if you're looking for a microphone for your streaming studio that sounds better than these, check out the Samson Q9U. All right, if you got any questions, comments, or anything to add about the Samson Q9U dynamic broadcast microphone, please leave them in the comment section below. Would love to hear your thoughts, answer any questions, or learn anything new that we didn't cover in this video today. If you like this video, please smash that like button, and if it's your first time here and you found this video useful, please click that subscribe button, and don't forget to click that little bell icon so you get a notification next time I upload a video. If you're ready to pick up the Samson Q9U today or any other audio gear, be sure to use the links down below from Zounds. Zounds has one of the best payment plan programs you can find online. It's one of the easiest to qualify for. So if you're ready to pick one of these up today, use the links from Sounds. And as always, don't forget to add me on Twitch, where I test out the gear that I talk about on my YouTube. Really appreciate you for watching. Thanks, take care, and stay healthy.